Welcome to Audio Booktuber, where books speak and stories come alive. Here you'll find powerful book summaries, inspiring stories, and life-changing ideas, all in audio form. Whether you're walking, working, or relaxing, just plug in and let the wisdom flow. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon.
Ever feel like you're just drowning in information? You know, that constant pressure, always feeling behind, and sometimes figuring out how to tackle the big mental challenges like worry just feels impossible. Where do you even start?
It's totally overwhelming. We get so much data thrown at us, but what we really need are, well, clear, practical solutions, right?
Exactly. And that's what we do here at The Deep Dive. We wade through the complex stuff, the books, the research, all of it, and pull out the absolute best insights for you. Today, we're tackling something universal: worry. We all experience it, but it doesn't have to run our lives.
And our source today is a real classic. Dale Carnegie's How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. It's not just a book. It's packed with these proven methods and really inspiring stories of people who actually beat worry. Our job is to boil it down to the wisdom you can use, like right now.
So, what's on the agenda? We're going to look at some basic truths about worry, learn some powerful ways to deal with it directly, find strategies to actually break the worry habit, and figure out how to build a mindset that brings more peace. Might be surprised by some of this. Ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
Okay, so if worry pulls us out of the now, Carnegie's first big idea is about staying firmly in it. He calls it living in day-tight compartments. What does that actually mean, living only for today?
It's a fascinating idea, and it came from Sir William Osler, a really famous physician. He said a huge part of his success came down to just 21 words he read from Thomas Carlyle back in 1871.
21 words. What were they?
Our main business is not to see what lies dimly at a distance, but to do what lies clearly at hand.
Do what lies clearly at hand. Simple, but powerful. Why do you think that stuck with him so much?
Well, it's about intense focus, isn't it? Osler used this great analogy of an ocean liner. You know how a captain can seal off different sections, watertight compartments, if there's a leak?
Right, to stop the whole ship from sinking.
Exactly. Osler said we should do that with our lives. Press a button, shut the iron door on yesterday, the dead yesterdays. Press another, shut off the future, the unknown tomorrow. Live just for today, within that compartment.
So it's not about ignoring the past or future entirely, but sealing off the worry associated with them.
Precisely. Take Mrs. E.K. Shields. She lost her husband, was broke, and honestly was thinking about suicide. Then she found this sentence: "Every day is a new life to a wise man."
Wow.
Yeah, she put it on her car windshield. She forced herself to live just one day at a time, just until bedtime. And it worked. She found her way back. It's ancient wisdom, too. Horace, the Roman poet, said something similar way back. "Happy the man, he who can call today his own. Tomorrow do thy worst, for I have lived today."
That feels incredibly freeing, especially when things feel totally out of control.
It really is. Think about Edward S. Evans. Built a huge business, lost it all, got deep in debt, was physically ill from worry boils all over. Doctors gave him weeks to live.
Oh my God.
But then he just gave up struggling. He relaxed, focused only on the present moment, just getting through the day. And he started to recover. He gained weight, went back to work, rebuilt everything, all because he learned to live in that day-tight compartment. Kalidas's poem, Salutation to the Dawn, sums it up perfectly. "Look to this day, for it is life. Yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every tomorrow a vision of hope."
Such a needed reminder, isn't it? Focus on today. Okay, so that's the mindset. But what about when you're in a specific worry situation? Carnegie offers a quick, surefire recipe for that. Sounds useful.
It is. This comes from Willis H. Carrier, the engineer who basically invented modern air conditioning. He had this 3-step magic formula he swore by.
Okay, lay it on us. What are the steps?
Step 1, ask yourself honestly, what is the worst that can possibly happen? Really face it.
Okay, the worst case scenario.
Step 2, mentally accept that worst case scenario. Reconcile yourself to it if it comes to that.
Accept it. That sounds hard.
It's a crucial step. And step 3, once you've accepted the worst, calmly put your energy into trying to improve on that worst case scenario you've already accepted.
So face the worst, accept it, then work to make it better.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds almost too simple for something like worry, you know?
But that's the beauty of it. Carrier used it himself. He had this big $20,000 installation that failed. He thought, okay, worst case, I lose my job, the company loses $20,000. He accepted it.
What happened?
Suddenly, the panic stopped. Because he'd faced and accepted the worst, his mind cleared. He wasn't paralyzed by worry anymore. He then calmly figured out that spending an extra $5,000 on equipment would fix the problem.
No way.
Yes. So instead of a $20,000 loss, it became a $15,000 profit. His point was, worry just clouds your thinking. Acceptance clears the way for solutions.
That shift from panic to profit, just by changing how he approached it mentally, that's incredible. What stops most of us from doing that, do you think?
It's that initial fear, isn't it? We resist looking the worst right in the eye. But once you do, you often realize the reality isn't as terrifying as the vague dread floating around in your head.
Makes sense.
Another quick example. An oil dealer in New York was being blackmailed. He used the formula, worst case, his business is ruined by scandal. He accepted it mentally. Then, with a clear head, he called his lawyer. Turns out the blackmailer was a wanted criminal. Problem solved, no money paid. Then there's O.P. Haney. Doctors told him he had incurable stomach ulcers, maybe 2 weeks to live.
Oh, wow.
Instead of worrying, he accepted it. He literally bought a casket, arranged his burial, and then booked a trip around the world. He figured, what the heck? He started eating and drinking whatever he wanted, things guaranteed to kill him.
He just let go completely.
Completely. And guess what? By accepting death and ditching the worry, he relaxed, started enjoying life, gained 90 pounds, and totally recovered. He even sold the casket back.
Slight chuckle. That's amazing. So for you listening, think about a worry you have right now. Can you apply Carrier's formula? What's the worst? Can you accept it? And then what can you do? Okay, moving on. Let's talk about the physical toll of worry. It's not just in our heads, is it? It actually damages our bodies. Do we really get how bad it is?
Probably not enough. Dr. Alexis Carrel, a Nobel Prize winner, said flat out, businessmen who do not know how to fight worry die young. But it's not just business people, it's everyone. Worry literally makes us sick.
Like actual physical illness.
Absolutely.
Right.
Things like nervous indigestion, stomach ulcers, you know the saying, it's not what you're eating, it's what's eating you. That's Dr. Joseph Montague. Also, heart problems, high blood pressure, insomnia, headaches, even certain kinds of paralysis. Arthritis, too, can be linked to emotional stress like divorce, financial ruin, deep resentment.
Even tooth decay.
Yes. Apparently, worry can mess with your body's calcium balance. Overactive thyroid, angina, the list goes on. It's serious stuff.
So that feeling of being worried sick is literally true. How does it work? What's happening physiologically?
It's basically chronic stress. Our bodies go into fight or flight mode, but we're not designed to stay there constantly. Dr. O.F. Gobert, who worked for the Santa Fe Railroad, figured about 70% of his patients could cure themselves if they just got rid of their fears and worries. The illness was real, like a toothache, he said, but the root cause was emotional.
Wow. 70%.
Think about General Grant during the Civil War. He had this terrible sick headache, so bad he had to stop his advance. Then he gets the message that General Lee wants to surrender. Boom, headache gone, instantly.
Just like that, the relief wiped it out.
Exactly. Shows the direct mind-body link. Henry Morgenthau Jr., when he was Treasury Secretary, got literally dizzy with worry over a big deal, had to go lie down for hours.
So it affects people at all levels. Are there stories of people reversing this?
Definitely. Look at Olga K. Jarvie. The Mayo Clinic told her she had incurable cancer, basically sent her home to die. But she decided to fight. She took an oath. I am not going to worry. I am not going to cry. I am going to live.
Powerful.
And she meant it. Even during painful X-ray treatments, she forced herself to smile. Now, she wasn't saying smiling cures cancer, but she firmly believed that positive fighting attitude helped her body heal. She called it her miracle cure.
That's incredible resilience. It really sounds like taking action, any kind of positive action, is a major antidote. Which leads to another key idea. You can crowd worry out by keeping busy, based on the idea that the mind can only focus on one thing at a time, right?
Exactly. Constructive activity is like an anesthetic for frayed nerves. If your mind is occupied with doing something purposeful, there's simply no room for worry to take root.
So it's not just distraction, it's actually mental displacement.
Precisely. Marion J. Douglas is a great example. He lost 2 daughters, was just paralyzed by grief. Couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. His little son asked him to build a toy boat. He spent 3 hours focused just on that boat. It was the first mental break he'd had in months. It kind of snapped him out of it. He decided, I have to stay busy. He made a list of 242 things that needed fixing around the house, got involved in local stuff, and later said, I am so busy now that I have no time for worry.
No time for worry. Didn't Winston Churchill say something similar during the war?
He did. When asked how he handled the immense pressure, he supposedly said, I'm too busy. I have no time for worry. Same with Charles Kettering, who invented the car self-starter. He was working away in a barn, totally broke, but too absorbed in his inventions to worry about money. His wife worried, but he was just too busy.
It seems like intense focus on work or a project is protective.
It really can be. After Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's wife died tragically, he threw himself into caring for his children and translating Dante. He lost himself in action and found peace again. Osa Johnson, the explorer. After her husband died and she was badly injured, she started lecturing from a wheelchair specifically, she said, so that I would have no time for sorrow and worry.
Even in extreme situations, like Admiral Byrd alone in Antarctica.
Yes, he was totally isolated for 5 months. He kept his sanity by having a rigid schedule of tasks, things to do every hour. He knew that without that structure, without purpose, his mind would just disintegrate, as he put it.
So the routine itself was a shield.
It was. And Tremper Longman, a businessman facing potential ruin, just worked like crazy, 15, 16 hours a day for 3 months straight. By the time the crisis passed, he realized he'd completely broken the worry habit. George Bernard Shaw nailed it. The secret of being miserable is to have the leisure to bother about whether you are happy or not.
Keep busy with purpose.
Right.
Got it. Okay, so we've got tools for the present, for specific worries, and the power of action. Let's zoom out again. How do we handle perspective? Because sometimes it's the tiny things, the trifles, that drive us crazy, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Disraeli said, life is too short to be little. We spend so much energy on things that honestly just don't matter in the grand scheme. Carnegie tells a story about a hostess freaking out because she was 3 napkins short for a dinner party.
Okay, I can relate to that kind of panic.
Right. But she caught herself and just decided, forget it, no one will notice or care. She refused to let it ruin her evening. That's choosing not to fuss.
It's a conscious choice to dismiss the trivial.
Or Homer Croy, the writer. He was being driven mad by rattling radiators in his apartment. Then he went camping, heard a crackling fire, and thought, that sounds kind of similar. He decided to reframe the radiator noise as the pleasant sound of a campfire. And soon, it stopped bothering him.
That's mental jujitsu right there.
It is. But not everyone gets it. Rudyard Kipling famously got into a huge feud with his brother-in-law over basically nothing, a hayfield. It got so bad he left America and never came back. A total overreaction to a trifle.
Wow. Shows how small things can escalate.
Carnegie uses the analogy of a giant tree in the forest. It can withstand storms, lightning, everything. But then, tiny little beetles can come along and kill it from the inside out. Those beetles are like our small worries. Charles Seyfried, a highway guy, understood this. Stuck waiting in the woods, getting eaten by mosquitoes, he didn't just sit there fuming. He cut off a branch and whittled himself a whistle. He chose peace over annoyance.
Managing the small stuff is key. Okay, building on that perspective, what about using the law of averages?
Yeah.
So many worries are just statistically improbable, right?
Hugely improbable. Look at Lloyd's of London. They make a fortune essentially betting against disasters happening as often as people fear they will. That's what insurance is, fundamentally playing the odds.
So we're stressing about things that professional risk takers are betting won't happen. That feels kind of silly when you put it that way.
It often is. Carnegie admitted that as a kid, he was terrified of being killed by lightning. The odds are like 1 in 350,000. Or being buried alive, maybe 1 in 10 million. We worry about these dramatic, rare things.
When everyday life has its own risks, we accept without thinking.
Exactly. Statistically, just living from age 50 to 55 carries about the same risk as fighting in the Battle of Gettysburg. Think about that. Mrs. Salinger stopped worrying about house fires or her kids getting hit by cars once her husband, a lawyer, showed her the actual statistics. The odds were tiny.
It's like doing a reality check on your fears, forcing them to face the numbers.
That's it, precisely. Jim Grant, the oil dealer again, used to worry constantly about his railroad cars crashing. Happened 5 times out of 25,000 trips, so 1 in 5,000. Or bridges collapsing 0 times in his experience. When he looked at the actual numbers, he felt foolish and just decided to let the law of averages handle it.
That must have been such a relief.
Or Frederick Malstedt in WWII, terrified in a trench during bombing raids. He calculated the odds of a direct hit on his specific spot were maybe 1 in 10,000. Realizing that calmed him down enough to actually sleep through the raids. The U.S. Navy did something similar for crews on fuel tankers, which everyone thought were death traps. They released stats showing most torpedo tankers didn't sink immediately. Knowing the odds calmed nerves.
Knowing the odds can really defang a fear. Okay, this next one feels harder, but maybe more profound. Cooperating with the inevitable. Accepting what you simply cannot change.
Yeah, this is deep. There's an old inscription in a church in Amsterdam. It is so, it cannot be otherwise. And William James, the psychologist, said, acceptance of what has happened is the first step in overcoming the consequences of any misfortune.
It's not resignation, though, is it? It's more like redirection of energy.
Exactly. It's not giving up. It's stopping the fight against something immovable so you can focus on what you can influence. Carnegie talks about losing a finger as a kid. He accepted it, moved on. Met a guy who lost a whole hand, same attitude, hardly ever thought about it.
Acceptance frees you up.
Look at Elizabeth Conley. Her nephew died in the war, and she was just flattened by grief. Then she found an old letter from him, written after her own mother died, where he urged her to carry on no matter what happens. That memory jolted her. She realized she couldn't change his death, but she could honor his wish. She went back to work, found new interests, and found peace by accepting the inevitable and focusing on living.
Carrying on, not crying over spilt milk, as King George V apparently said.
Right, or Sarah Bernhardt, the actress. At 71, she needed a leg amputated. Her reaction, if it have to be, it has to be. And she went on touring for 7 more years. It's like the evergreen tree that bends with the ice storm versus the rigid oak that breaks. Jiu-jitsu teaches bending like a willow.
Bend, don't break.
William Casellius, the salesman handling explosives during the war, was terrified. He overcame it by accepting the worst. So you are blown up, so what? You will never know the difference. That acceptance let him function. Socrates faced death calmly, and of course there's the serenity prayer, which nails it. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference.
Such powerful words. Okay, this leads nicely into putting a stop-loss order on worries. Like in trading, you cut your losses at a certain point. Emotionally, it's deciding, okay, this worry has cost me enough, I'm letting it go.
It's about not throwing good energy after bad, especially concerning the past. Carnegie spent 2 years on a novel that got rejected. Instead of agonizing, he just wrote it off as a noble experiment and moved on, which freed him up for other things. Thoreau said, the cost of a thing is the amount of what I call life, which is required to be exchanged for it. Are you willing to keep paying with your life energy for something that's already done?
That's a stark way to put it. Paying with your life energy. So dwelling on past mistakes or regrets is literally like trying to saw sawdust.
That's Fred Fullershed's perfect phrase. When you start worrying about things that are over and done with, you're merely trying to saw sawdust. Connie Mack, the baseball manager, wouldn't fret over lost games. You can't grind any grain with water that has already gone down the creek. Focus on the next game.
Makes total sense.
Jack Dempsey, after losing his heavyweight title, he refused to dwell. He accepted it, didn't cry over spilt milk, and focused all his energy on building a new, successful career outside boxing. He got too busy with the present to worry about the past.
It's an active decision, isn't it? Decide the past is past, draw a line, and move forward. Okay, let's bring it home. Final segment. Cultivating that positive mental attitude and keeping our energy up. Starting with the big one. Our life is what our thoughts make it.
Straight from Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor. Our life is what our thoughts make it. And this is where we see the huge difference between concern, which is calmly figuring out solutions, and worry, which is just spinning your wheels futilely. Lowell Thomas, the broadcaster, faced massive debts, big setbacks, but he'd still put a flower in his buttonhole every day and walk tall, deliberately thinking positive thoughts.
So it's about the approach to problems, not pretending they don't exist. How much does this mental stuff really affect us physically?
Almost unbelievably, Dr. J.A. Hadfield did this experiment. Measured men's strength with a dynamometer. Then, under hypnosis, he told them they were strong. Their measured strength went up nearly 500%.
500%.
Yeah, from like 101 pounds to 142 pounds of grip strength. Then he told them they were weak. It dropped to 29 pounds, just from suggestion. Shows the raw power of thought.
That's mind-blowing. It suggests we have reserves we don't even tap into because of our thinking.
Absolutely. Frank Whaley had a nervous breakdown. His father wrote him a letter saying basically, it's not the situations, it's what you think about them. That clicked for Whaley. He realized he needed to change his mental focus, not the world. Think of John Brown, calm on the way to be hanged, admiring the scenery while his jailer was a wreck.
Perspective is everything.
Robert Falcon Scott's doomed Antarctic team singing cheerful songs as they faced death. Milton, blind, saying, the mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven. Compare Napoleon, powerful but miserable, to Helen Keller, disabled but joyful. It's internal.
So how do we do this? How do we cultivate that positive outlook practically?
William James had great advice. Act the part, Sit up cheerfully and to act and speak as if cheerfulness were already there. Fake it till you make it, essentially. H.J. Englert was told he had fatal kidney disease. He forced himself to act cheerful, literally willed himself into a better state, and his health improved. He recovered. James Lane Allen wrote, "As he alters his thoughts towards things, things will alter towards him."
Act as if. Okay, a really simple, concrete way to shift perspective is just counting your blessings.
It sounds cliche, but it's incredibly powerful. Harold Abbott lost everything in the Depression, utterly dejected. Then he saw a man with no legs propelling himself along on a little cart, cheerfully greeting him, "Fine morning, isn't it?"
Oh, man.
Abbott said it hit him like a ton of bricks how rich he actually was. He kept a note on his mirror afterwards. "I had the blues because I had no shoes, until upon the street I met a man who had no feet."
That puts everything in perspective, doesn't it? Instantly.
It really does. Eddie Rickenbacker, after being lost at sea for weeks, said his biggest lesson was, if you have all the fresh water you want and all the food you want, you ought never to complain about anything. A soldier wounded badly on Guadalcanal found out he'd live and be able to talk. His reaction, "Then what in hell am I worrying about?"
Gratitude changes the game.
Schopenhauer called it a tragedy that we seldom think of what we have, but always of what we lack. Lucille Blake, snuck in bed for a year with heart trouble, literally made a daily practice of counting her blessings each morning, and it brought her happiness despite her situation.
Consciously focusing on the good. Okay, next. Finding strength in being authentic. Finding yourself and being yourself.
Yeah, trying to be someone you're not is a huge source of anxiety. Mrs. Edith Allred was painfully shy, had a terrible inferiority complex. Her mother-in-law casually mentioned she always insisted her kids just be themselves. That was a light bulb moment for Mrs. Allred. She realized she'd been miserable trying to fit some mold. She started studying her own personality, her real strengths, dressing how she liked, and gradually the shyness faded as she embraced who she really was. Like the poem says, be the best of whatever you are.
Lean into your uniqueness. Love that. And related to acceptance, the idea of turning setbacks into advantages. If life gives you a lemon, make lemonade.
That's the spirit. Julius Rosenwald from Sears said that. Alfred Adler called it the power to turn a minus into a plus. Thelma Thompson hated living in the Mojave Desert. The heat, the wind, the isolation. She wrote her dad, ready to quit. He just wrote back 2 lines. 2 men looked out from prison bars. One saw the mud, the other saw stars.
Cheers to see the stars.
Exactly. She decided to find the stars in the desert, studied the cacti, the wildlife, the history. Her whole experience transformed because she changed her perspective.
That's finding opportunity in adversity.
It is. Like Ole Bull, the violinist whose strings snapped mid-concert. He just finished the piece on the other 3 strings. Harry Emerson Fosdick said that's life, having your A string snap and finishing on 3 strings. William Bolitho put it brilliantly. The important thing isn't capitalizing on gains, it's profiting from your losses. That takes intelligence.
Turning losses into lessons, into fuel.
Oh, okay.
You know, the seemingly counterintuitive one. Forget yourself by getting interested in others. How did that help with worry?
It's a powerful antidote to self-pity and getting stuck in your own head. Margaret Yates was basically an invalid for years. Then Pearl Harbor happened. She got so busy helping frantic families locate loved ones, acting as an information hub, that she completely forgot her own ailments. She called it her real miracle, getting so absorbed in helping others that her own problems faded away, and she never went back to being sick.
Wow, service is healing.
Carl Jung observed that maybe a third of his patients weren't suffering from a specific neurisis, but from the senselessness and emptiness of their lives. The cure. Stop focusing inward. Find purpose by engaging with and helping others.
Get out of your own way by focusing outwards. Okay, nearly there. Let's touch on some very practical work habits for preventing fatigue and worry.
Yes, these are super concrete. 4 main ones. 1, clear your desk. Only have the papers for the immediate task in front of you. Reduces overwhelm, increases focus.
Makes sense. Declutter your space, declutter your mind.
2, do things in order of importance. Prioritize. Don't just react to whatever screams loudest.
Tackle the big rocks first.
3, if you have the facts needed to make a decision, make it then and there. Don't put it off. Procrastination breeds worry. H.P. Howell used this to make U.S. Steel Board meetings way more efficient and less stressful.
Decide and move on.
And 4, learn to organize, deputize, and supervise. In other words, delegate. You can't do it all. Trying to leads to burnout, and worse, learn to trust others and let go of some control.
These sound like business tips, but they're really life tips for managing energy, aren't they?
Absolutely. They conserve mental energy and prevent that frantic, worried feeling. And finally, let's talk insomnia, a huge worry for so many people.
Yeah, lying awake, worrying about not sleeping, it's a vicious cycle.
The key thing Carnegie stresses is no one was ever killed by lack of sleep. It's the worry about insomnia that does the real damage. The anxiety itself is worse than the lost sleep.
So, first step is stop worrying about it. Easier said than done.
True. But one practical tip from Samuel Untermeyer: if you can't sleep, don't just lie there stewing. Get up, work, read, do something until you actually feel sleepy again. Break the pattern.
Okay, get up, change the scenery. What else?
Physical relaxation is huge. Dr. David Harold Fink recommended literally talking to your muscles. Let go. Loosen up. Relax. Imagine you're a relaxed cat. Also, sheer physical exhaustion works wonders. Theodore Dreiser, when he worked manual labor, was too tired not to sleep.
Chuckles.
Right.
Work yourself tired.
Carnegie slept while walking home once as a kid. He was so beat. Dr. Foster Kennedy saw soldiers in WWI fall asleep instantly from exhaustion, even under bombardment. He even noticed their eyeballs rolled up and used that trick himself later. And Dr. Link told a suicidal patient suffering from insomnia to just run around the block until he dropped. The guy got exhausted, slept, and his insomnia was cured.
So relax the mind, relax the body, or just tire yourself out. Okay, that's a lot of ground we've covered. All right, so wrapping things up, we've unpacked a whole toolbox here from Dale Carnegie for tackling worry. It boils down to changing perspective, taking action, finding peace through deliberate choices. We've heard stories from doctors and generals to regular folks, showing how people turn things around.
And remember, these aren't just interesting anecdotes. They're like blueprints for living with less anxiety, more calm, more joy. It's about spotting those worry habits and consciously choosing different paths. As you listened, what really resonated with you? What felt most applicable?
Carnegie himself said in the book's intro that he wasn't really telling people anything new. He was just restating ancient truths, illustrating them, making them clear, and maybe giving you a kick in the shins to actually do something about applying them.
Yeah, a gentle nudge.
So the final thought for you is this. Knowledge isn't really power until you use it, right? So what's the one single insight, the one truth from our deep dive today that you are going to choose to apply starting right now to make a difference in your own life?